Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's dive into today's story. She whispered to herself as she scanned the room. Emma took a deep breath and walked toward him. As they continued talking, Emma began to relax. She told him about her struggles, her dreams, and how she was trying to make a better life for herself. Before she could leave, he stood up as well. As Emma hurried out of the restaurant, she was unaware that the man she had just walked away from was someone who would change her life forever. Emma rushed out of the restaurant, her face flushed with embarrassment, her heart pounding in her chest. She had just made a complete fool of herself. The man she had mistaken for Kevin, the man she had just shared a few moments with, was not Kevin at all. He was someone else entirely, someone she never expected to meet in a million years. And now, she was running away from him, her mind spinning. She could still hear the sound of his voice in her head, calm and gentle, as if he had been trying to ease her discomfort. But it was too late. She had already made her exit. As she stepped out onto the busy street, the crisp evening air hit her face, and she took a deep breath, trying to calm herself. She didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Her phone buzzed again. It was Jenny. Hey, what happened? Are you okay? You left in such a hurry. You didn't even give him a chance to explain. Emma groaned, looking down at the screen. She could already hear the teasing in her friend's voice. It's not what you think, Emma typed quickly. I thought I was meeting someone named Kevin, but I sat at the wrong table. Turns out he's not Kevin at all. I made a complete idiot of myself. She hit send and stared at her phone for a moment, her fingers tapping nervously. Against the screen, she didn't know what to do. The whole situation felt like something out of a movie. She had never been good at blind dates. The idea of meeting someone without knowing anything about them made her nervous. And this time, it had backfired spectacularly. She walked aimlessly down the street, her mind racing with thoughts of the man she had just left behind. He had been kind, patient, even funny. There was something about him that made her feel comfortable, like she could be herself. But now, the reality of what had just happened hit her. What if he thought she was rude? What if he never wanted to see her again? And why did it matter so much? She didn't even know his name. As Emma rounded the corner, she found herself standing in front of a small coffee shop. She hesitated for a moment before stepping inside. It was warm and cozy, the kind of place she liked to go when she needed a little peace and quiet. She ordered a coffee and took a seat by the window, watching the people walk by, lost in her thoughts. Meanwhile, back at the restaurant, Liam Parker sat alone at his table, staring down at his phone. He had been about to correct Emma when she ran off, but something about the way she had smiled at him, so genuine and unguarded, had made him hesitate. He found himself intrigued by her honesty, her simplicity. In a world where everyone was always trying to impress him, Emma had been different. She had no idea who he was, and that was exactly what had drawn him in. He leaned back in his chair, still feeling the strange tug of regret. He had intended to let her know the truth, that he was not just another ordinary guy, but a tech billionaire. But now, after the way she had looked at him, he couldn't shake the feeling that he had just lost something valuable. He had never met anyone quite like her before, and he wasn't sure if he would ever see her again. But fate had a way of playing tricks on people. The next morning, Emma sat in her small apartment, sipping her coffee, staring out the window. Her phone buzzed again, this time with a message from Jenny. You know, I heard about someone named Liam Parker. He's the CEO of a huge tech company. Do you think the guy you met last night could be him? Emma almost dropped her coffee. She stared at the message, her heart skipping a beat. Could it be? Could the man she had mistaken for Kevin really be a billionaire CEO? It seemed impossible. But something about him, the way he carried himself, the way he listened to her, had felt different. She shook her head, trying to push the thought aside. It didn't matter. He was probably just some random guy, like so many others she had met before. But then why did she feel this strange connection? Why couldn't she stop thinking about him? As Emma walked to work that morning, her thoughts kept drifting back to him. The way he had smiled when she first sat down. The way he had listened so intently, as if he was genuinely interested in what she had to say. The way he had made her feel like she mattered. Later that afternoon, as she was serving a table at the diner, her phone buzzed again. It was an unknown number. "Hello, is this Emma Brooks?" The voice on the other end asked. "This is Liam Parker. We met last night, and I was wondering if you'd like to meet again." Emma's heart skipped a beat. It was him, the man from the restaurant. Liam Parker, the Billionaire CEO. She couldn't believe it. Sure," she stammered, her voice barely above a whisper. Yeah, I'd like that." There was a brief pause on the other end of the line. Then Liam spoke again. "Great. I'll send a car for you. I know you must have some questions, and I'd like to explain everything. But first, I think we should meet again. Maybe this time, without the mix-up." Emma could hardly believe what she was hearing. She wasn't sure what was happening, but she knew one thing for sure. Her life was about to change in ways she never imagined. As she hung up the phone, a mixture of excitement and nervousness swirled inside her. She had no idea where this would lead, but she couldn't deny the pull she felt toward Liam. She couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of something big. The next day, Emma stood in front of the diner, the soft hum of the city around her, trying to calm her nerves. She couldn't believe what had just happened. Liam Parker, the man she had mistaken for Kevin, had called her, and now, he wanted to meet again. She had no idea what to expect, but one thing was for sure. Her life was about to change. Her heart raced as she waited, glancing down at her phone for what seemed like the 100th time. She still couldn't wrap her head around the fact that he was a billionaire. He was nothing like the men she usually met. Liam was kind, patient, and, strangely, he had made her feel like she belonged in a world that was nothing like her own. Emma's thoughts were interrupted when a sleek black car pulled up to the curb. The door opened, and she hesitated for a moment, taking a deep breath before stepping forward. Liam was sitting in the back seat, wearing a navy blue suit that seemed to fit him perfectly. His hair was neatly styled, his face calm, but there was a softness to his gaze as he watched her approach. For a brief moment, their eyes met, and Emma felt a flutter in her chest. She quickly looked away, trying to shake the nervousness that had settled in her stomach. "Hey, Emma," Liam said, his voice warm, almost like they had known each other for much longer than they actually had. As the car began to move, Emma felt the awkwardness settle between them. The city passed by in a blur, the hum of the engine the only sound between them. After a few moments, Liam spoke again, breaking the silence. Emma blinked, her mind racing. She had no idea he felt that way. All she had known was that he seemed different. But now, hearing him speak so honestly, she felt a sense of relief. For the first time in a while, she wasn't worried about pretending to be something she wasn't. There was a long pause as the car continued down the quiet street. Liam glanced over at her, his gaze intense but understanding. Emma looked at him, a small frown forming on her face. She had no idea why he was saying all these things, but she couldn't ignore the feeling that something had shifted between them. Maybe it was the way he looked at her, or maybe it was the fact that he wasn't just seeing her as a waitress, but as a real person. For the first time, Liam's expression changed. He looked almost serious, as if he had been holding something back. He leaned forward slightly, his eyes locking with hers. Her heart skipped a beat. His words lingered in the air, and Emma suddenly found it hard to breathe. What was he saying? Was he serious? Could someone like him really want something real with someone like her? The car pulled up to a large, modern building, and Liam gently reached over to open the door for her. Emma stepped out, still in a daze, and looked up at the tall structure. She didn't know where this was going, but one thing was certain. Her life was changing in ways she hadn't expected. "Let's take it one step at a time," Liam said, offering her a small, reassuring smile. No pressure, just one step at a time. As they walked into the building together, Emma couldn't help but wonder. Was this the start of something real, or just another moment that would slip away into the past? The elevator doors slid open with a soft chime, and Emma stepped out into a sleek, modern lobby. Her heart was still racing from the conversation with Liam. She had barely absorbed what had just happened. One minute, she was sitting in a diner, wondering if she would ever see him again. And now, here she was, standing in the lobby of his building, not knowing what to expect next. The polished floors reflected the overhead lights, and the reception area was pristine, almost intimidating. A tall, well-dressed woman at the desk greeted them with a polite smile as they approached. Emma felt a bit out of place. She hadn't even told anyone at the diner she was leaving, and here she was, stepping into a world she hadn't even known existed, Yet Liam made it all seem effortless. He led her down a wide corridor with walls lined with art and polished glass doors. The space felt quiet, almost serene, like a sanctuary away from the noise of the city. Emma walked beside him, trying to act natural, though everything felt so foreign. She kept stealing glances at him, still trying to figure out what he really wanted from her. Emma looked around, taking in the subtle luxury. The furniture was minimalistic but elegant, with neutral colors and soft lighting that made the space feel inviting rather than cold. She was impressed, but still unsure of what to say. Liam paused for a moment, and for the first time, Emma saw a flicker of something deeper in his eyes. He looked almost uncertain, as if he was trying to figure out the right words. Emma's heart skipped a beat. She had heard rich men say similar things before, but this felt different. This felt real. He wasn't trying to impress her with his wealth or status. He wasn't trying to show off his success. He was just talking. She could tell he meant what he said, and it made her feel something unexpected. Liam smiled gently and stepped closer, his eyes soft. "You're more than that, Emma. I see it. I'm not asking you to change who you are. I'm just asking for a chance. Maybe we can get to know each other without all the pretense. No business deals, no expectations. Just us." Emma stared at him, feeling a mixture of confusion and something she couldn't quite place. Was this real? Was he really offering her a chance to be with him without all the complications? The idea seemed too good to be true, but the sincerity in his eyes made her pause. Liam took a deep breath, and for a moment, he seemed lost in thought. Then, his gaze met hers again, and he spoke softly, his voice full of honesty. Emma felt a warmth spread through her chest at his words. She had always been afraid that people only saw her as a waitress, as someone who wasn't good enough for anything more. But here was Liam, a man who could have anyone, and he was telling her that he saw her as someone worth knowing, worth being with. It was overwhelming in the best way. Liam stepped closer, his hand gently resting on her arm. His touch was warm, reassuring, not demanding. Emma's heart fluttered. She had never been this close to someone who made her feel this way. Someone who seemed to genuinely care without expecting anything in return. She wanted to believe him, but a part of her still hesitated, still unsure if it was all too good to be true. Liam smiled, his expression softening. "You won't mess it up, Emma. We're in this together. One step at a time." As they stood there, the city lights glittering outside the window, Emma realized something she hadn't expected. She was starting to trust him. And maybe, just maybe, this could be the beginning of something real. The next few days passed in a blur for Emma. She was trying to adjust to her new life, a life that felt like it was straight out of a movie. Liam had kept his promise. No pressure, no expectations. He took things slow, allowing her to get comfortable with him and with the world he lived in. They spent time together in the evenings, walking through Central Park, grabbing coffee at quiet cafes, and talking about everything and nothing. Emma was still trying to wrap her head around the idea that she was getting to know Liam Parker, the billionaire tech CEO, someone she never would have imagined crossing paths with in her ordinary life. It was a Saturday afternoon when Liam called her, his voice crackling with excitement. Emma paused, her stomach fluttering. A gala? She had never been to something so glamorous before. The thought of being in a room full of high-profile people, all eyes on her, made her nervous. But then again, she didn't want to stay in her comfort zone forever. Liam chuckled softly, his voice reassuring. Emma smiled at his words. There was something about Liam's calm confidence that made her feel like she could take on anything. It wasn't just about his wealth or status. It was about how he made her feel at ease, like she mattered just as much as anyone else. After a moment, she agreed. "Don't worry about it," Liam replied. "I'll show you the ropes. Let's just have a good time." That evening, as Emma prepared for the gala, she couldn't help but feel a little overwhelmed. She had spent hours picking out the perfect dress, something simple, yet elegant. It was a deep emerald green, with a flattering cut that hugged her curves just enough to make her feel confident, but not out of place. When she looked at herself in the mirror, she still couldn't believe she was about to attend such an event. A few weeks ago, she was working at a diner, and now she was about to step into a world she had only seen in magazines. As the car pulled up to the venue, a luxurious hotel inn, the heart of the city, Emma's nerves flared again. Liam had insisted she look her best, but she was still unsure about how she would fit into this world. She stepped out of the car, her heels clicking on the pavement as she followed Liam inside. The moment they entered the grand ballroom, Emma felt a wave of nerves wash over her. The room was filled with well-dressed people, talking and laughing, with glasses of champagne in their hands. The chandelier overhead cast a warm glow over everything, and the smell of expensive perfume and fresh flowers lingered in the air. "You look amazing," Liam said softly, looking at her with a soft smile. "Don't worry. Just stick with me." Emma couldn't help but smile back. She felt out of place, yes, but being with Liam somehow made it easier. They moved through the crowd, and as the evening went on, Emma found herself becoming more comfortable. She didn't need to impress anyone. She just had to be herself. People were kind to her, asking her about her life, and Liam was right there beside her, making sure she didn't feel lost in the sea of unfamiliar faces. Later in the evening, after a few speeches and a charity auction, the crowd began to thin out, and Liam took her hand, leading her to a quieter corner of the ballroom. "How are you holding up?" he asked, his voice low. Emma looked up at him, her heart racing slightly. "I'm doing okay, actually. I'm surprised. I thought I'd feel more out of place, but I don't know. I feel good." Liam smiled, a hint of pride in his eyes. "I knew you'd be fine. You just needed to get out of your own head. And besides, you're with me." The night ended with Emma feeling lighter than she had in days. As she stepped into the car with Liam, she realized something. She had spent so much of her life doubting herself, thinking she wasn't good enough. But tonight, she felt different. She felt like she belonged, not because of the people she was with or the place she was in, but because of who she was with. "Liam, you know," she said, as they drove through the city streets, "I never thought I'd be at a place like that. I don't know what's going on, but I think I'm starting to enjoy this life, the one I'm sharing with you." Liam's eyes softened, and he reached over, taking her hand in his. "I'm glad. Because, Emma, I want to keep sharing this life with you. I think we're just getting started." As the car continued down the quiet streets, Emma realized that maybe, just maybe, this was the beginning of something real. Something that didn't have to be perfect, but something that could be beautiful in its own way. The days following the gala seemed to blur together in a whirlwind of new experiences. Emma was still processing everything. The events, the conversations, and most of all, the unexpected connection she had started to feel with Liam. It wasn't just the glamour of his world that had drawn her in, it was him. She had always been skeptical of people with wealth and status, but with Liam, things felt different. There was a sincerity in his actions, a kindness in his words that made her believe he was more than just a rich man. He genuinely cared about her, and that was something she had never imagined she would find in a relationship. It was a quiet Wednesday afternoon when Liam called her again. She was sitting at her kitchen table, sipping her coffee, when her phone rang. Seeing his name on the screen made her heart skip a beat. It had only been a few days since the gala, but the thought of talking to him always made her feel a little bit lighter. Emma smiled, feeling her stomach flutter. There was something about Liam that made her feel special, like she mattered in ways she had never known before. "I was thinking somewhere low-key this time," he said, his tone playful. "I know you're not a fan of fancy places, so let's keep it simple. I'll pick you up at 7. "Sounds perfect," Emma agreed, her smile widening. "See you tonight." As the evening approached, Emma found herself feeling nervous, but in a way that felt exciting. She was used to simple dinners at home or at casual places, but going out with Liam made everything feel different. She stood in front of her mirror, trying to decide what to wear. She didn't want to seem overdressed, but she also wanted to look nice for him. In the end, she opted for a simple black dress that hugged her figure in all the right places. It was elegant, but not too much. When Liam arrived, he was dressed casually, just a pair of jeans and a jacket, looking effortlessly put together, as always. Emma's heart skipped a beat when he smiled at her from the door. His presence always seemed to fill the room, and tonight was no different. Emma blushed, feeling a warmth spread across her cheeks. "Thanks. You look pretty good yourself." They drove to a small, quiet Italian restaurant, tucked away on a side street in the city. The atmosphere was cozy and intimate, with dim lighting and the soft hum of conversation around them. Emma felt a sense of ease as they sat down at a corner table, away from the noise of the world outside. It felt like they were in their own little bubble, where nothing else mattered but the two of them. Over dinner, they talked about everything, about their childhoods, their dreams, and their lives before they met each other. Emma found herself opening up to Liam in ways she hadn't expected. She talked about her struggles, her fears, and the dreams she still had, even though she wasn't sure how to make them come true. Liam listened attentively, his eyes never leaving hers, as if he was fully present in the moment. And when he spoke, his words were always thoughtful, his voice gentle. Emma felt a lump form in her throat. His words were like a balm to her insecurities, soothing the doubts she had been carrying around for so long. She had never had anyone tell her that she mattered, that she was enough just as she was. And hearing it from Liam made her feel something she hadn't felt in years, hope. Liam reached across the table, gently taking her hand in his. I know, but that's what makes it worth it. We're different, yes, but that doesn't mean we can't make something real out of this. I'm not asking you to change, Emma. I'm just asking for a chance to be together, no matter how different we are. Emma's heart raced as she looked into his eyes. She had always been afraid of change, afraid of stepping into the unknown. But with Liam, it felt like maybe it was worth taking the risk. For the first time in a long while, she wasn't afraid of the future. She wasn't afraid of what might happen. She was ready to let go of her fears and take a chance on something real. Okay, she said softly, her voice full of emotion. Let's do it. Let's take that chance. Liam's smile was all warmth, and he squeezed her hand gently. I promise you, Emma, this is just the beginning. We're going to figure this out together. As they finished dinner and walked out into the cool night air, Emma felt a sense of peace settle over her. She didn't know what the future held, but for the first time in a long time, she was excited to find out. It had been a few weeks since Emma and Liam had decided to take a chance on each other, and Emma couldn't believe how much her life had changed. What had started as a simple mistake, a blind date gone wrong, had turned into something she never saw coming. She had been hesitant at first, unsure if she could truly fit into Liam's world, but now, every day felt like a new beginning. They were still taking it slow, but every moment with him felt genuine and real. She had never experienced anything like this before, someone who cared about her, not for what she could offer, but for who she was. It was a quiet evening, and Liam had invited Emma over to his apartment for dinner. She hadn't seen him much the past few days due to his busy schedule, but tonight was different. He had promised her they would spend the evening together, no interruptions, just the two of them. When she arrived, Liam greeted her at the door with a smile, dressed casually in a t-shirt and jeans, looking just as relaxed as she felt. They made their way to the kitchen, where Liam had already prepared a simple but delicious-looking meal. The atmosphere was cozy, with the soft hum of music playing in the background and the gentle flicker of candlelight. As they sat down at the table, Emma couldn't help but feel at home in his presence. She had never imagined that something so simple, dinner at home, could feel so special. Emma's curiosity piqued, and she set her fork down, focusing on him. He hesitated briefly before speaking again. Emma's heart raced at his words. She hadn't expected this kind of conversation so soon, but she knew what she felt. Every time she was with him, she felt a warmth, a sense of belonging she had never experienced before. For the first time in her life, she felt like she wasn't just waiting for something to happen. She was living in the moment, with someone who truly saw her. Liam's expression softened, and he reached across the table, taking her hand gently in his. Emma's chest tightened with emotion, and she squeezed his hand. I'm scared sometimes, she admitted quietly. I've never been in a relationship like this, and I don't want to mess it up. Liam smiled softly, his thumb brushing across her knuckles in a reassuring gesture. They sat there for a moment in comfortable silence, the weight of his words settling between them. It felt real. It felt like something that could last. For the first time in a long time, Emma felt at peace with the uncertainty. She wasn't scared anymore, not in the way she used to be. Later that night, after dinner, they sat on the couch, wrapped in a cozy blanket, talking and laughing. Emma had never felt so connected to someone before, and she realized that she didn't need to have everything figured out. Life didn't come with a perfect script, and relationships didn't need to be flawless to be meaningful. She didn't know where this journey with Liam would lead, but for the first time in a long time, she was excited about the future. As the evening came to a close, Liam kissed her gently on the forehead, his voice soft as he whispered, I'm glad you're here with me, Emma. I'm glad we're doing this together. And in that moment, Emma knew that everything would be okay. No matter what happened next, she was exactly where she was supposed to be. The weeks passed, and Emma and Liam's relationship grew stronger with each passing day. They spent more time together, getting to know each other on a deeper level, and Emma was starting to feel something she had never felt before, a sense of security. Liam had made it clear that he wasn't interested in the usual things people expected from him. He wasn't looking for a fling or a superficial relationship. He wanted something real, something that could last. And Emma, despite her fears and uncertainties, found herself wanting the same thing. It was a Friday evening when things took an unexpected turn. Liam had planned a surprise for Emma, asking her to meet him at a small park near his apartment. She had no idea what to expect, but her curiosity got the best of her as she made her way to the location. When she arrived, she was greeted by the soft glow of fairy lights hanging from the trees, casting a romantic and magical aura over the space. Liam stood there, waiting for her, a look of excitement and anticipation in his eyes. "Liam," Emma said, a little breathless from the surprise. "What is all this?" Liam smiled, stepping toward her with a gentle smile. "I wanted to do something special, something just for you." He motioned toward a small table set up in the center of the park. On it, there were candles, a few bottles of wine, and a bouquet of flowers. It was simple, yet incredibly thoughtful. Emma's heart melted at the sight. She had never experienced anything like this before. No one had ever gone out of their way to make her feel this special. "You've really outdone yourself," she said, her voice full of admiration. Liam took her hand and led her to the table, pulling out a chair for her before sitting down across from her. "I know things have been moving fast, but I want you to know that I'm serious about this, Emma. I don't want to take a step forward without knowing that we're both ready for it. You're everything I've been looking for, and I just want to make sure we're on the same page." Emma's heart fluttered at his words, but a part of her still hesitated. She wasn't used to this level of honesty, this depth of emotion. It was beautiful, but it was also terrifying. She had spent so long guarding her heart, unsure of what the future would bring. But with Liam, she felt like she could trust him. He had never asked her to change. He accepted her for who she was, flaws and all. And for the first time, Emma felt like she could truly open up. "I'm ready," Emma said softly, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "I've never felt more ready for something in my life." Liam smiled, his eyes lighting up. He reached across the table, taking her hand in his once again. The connection between them felt stronger now, more real than ever. "I'm glad," he whispered, "because I'm in this for the long haul, Emma. You're the one I want." As they sat there, surrounded by the soft glow of the candles and the quiet hum of the evening, Emma realized that she had found something worth holding on to. She didn't know where their future would take them, but she knew one thing for sure. She didn't want to let go of Liam. He had shown her that love didn't have to be complicated, that it could be simple, real, and beautiful. And for the first time in a long time, Emma felt like she had found a home, not in a place, but in the heart of the man sitting across from her. As the weeks continued to pass, Emma and Liam's connection grew deeper, more undeniable with each passing day. They had come so far from the night Emma had mistakenly sat at the wrong table, never imagining how that one mistake would change her life. They had learned each other's quirks, discovered shared dreams, and built a relationship based on trust and honesty. Liam had shown Emma what it felt like to be loved unconditionally, and Emma had shown Liam the joy of living in the moment, without the pressure of wealth or status hanging over them. One Saturday afternoon, Liam surprised Emma once again, this time with a picnic in Central Park. They found a quiet spot by the lake, where the sunlight streamed through the trees, casting soft shadows on the grass. It was a perfect day, and Emma felt at peace, her heart full of gratitude for how far they had come. "This is perfect," Emma said, looking around at the idyllic scene. "I can't believe you've been planning this." Liam smiled, taking a seat beside her on the blanket. "I've been thinking about this moment for a while now. There's something about you, Emma, that makes everything else fade into the background. You make life feel real, and I want to keep making memories with you." Emma's heart swelled at his words. She had never known anyone who made her feel so seen, so loved. It was more than she had ever dreamed possible. "Liam, she began, her voice trembling slightly. "I never thought I'd be here, feeling this way. You've shown me so much more than I ever thought I deserved. I've spent so much of my life doubting myself. But with you, I feel like I've finally found my place." Liam took her hand, his fingers gently wrapping around hers. You've always had your place, Emma. It was just a matter of finding the right person who would see it. They sat in comfortable silence for a few moments, watching the boats drift across the lake. The world around them seemed to slow down, as if it, too, was taking a breath, letting them enjoy this quiet, beautiful moment together. I want to spend the rest of my life with you, Emma, Liam said softly, his voice barely above a whisper, yet full of certainty. I want to be with you through every twist and turn, every high and low. Will you marry me? Emma's breath caught in her throat. For a moment, everything around her seemed to disappear, leaving just the two of them in this perfect moment. She looked into Liam's eyes and saw the sincerity, the love, the promise of a future they could build together. Yes, she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. Yes, I will marry you. And in that moment, the world felt perfect. All the doubts, all the fears, seemed to melt away. Emma knew that life wasn't always easy, but with Liam by her side, she was ready to face whatever came next. She had found her place, her home, in the heart of a man who saw her for who she truly was, and loved her for it. Their journey was just beginning, and for the first time, Emma was excited to see where it would lead. Together, they would write their own story, one full of love, laughter, and the kind of happiness that only comes when two people find each other, against all odds.